As a community, what... Oh my god. Hello and welcome to Geekdomo. Alright, I sent out a mailbag question yesterday asking which new questions would you like to see answered at PAX. We saw a lot of great stuff at SOE Live, and then at Gamescom it was sort of the same presentation repeated over and over again. So as a community, I sent out the question to say, hey, what would you like to see? And I'm going to send this video over to the devs and see if they'll either answer them now or if they can put that in the next presentation for PAX. I took all the questions and I put them all together in a big list, sort of broken apart by theme. And if the question was a statement, I state it's a statement. If not, it's a question, and we just ask it like a question. I'm going to send this over to the devs and see if they answer any or all of them, either now or later on when PAX comes around. So maybe it gives them a little bit of things to work on for a new presentation of stuff we as a community would like to see. All right, before we get to the questions, I gotta say that I'm really bad with names, as you all know if you watch a lot of my other stuff. So I'm gonna probably butcher these people's names. A lot of them are fantasy names and I'm not very good with that. All right, I'm gonna read out the questions from the people that they wrote in, and if some of the questions are something that I might know a little bit about, I might throw in my 2 cents, but for the most part, I'm gonna leave these questions open for the devs. All right, here we go. First one is by Azu. He's asking a question about pets. Will there be any pet classes in the game? And if so, are we talking about permanent pets with modifiable stats, names, appearance? I personally love having a pet that's my own that I can costume to my liking. The next questions are about world. Azu asks, if there's a quest to kill a boss deep in a cave, could we dig our way into the cave and basically bypass the guards? Duzari asks, you think SOE is shooting to create one giant server like EVE where each continent is a mini server that we can jump to and from 4-player cities PvP? EVE does this seamlessly with warping, but it's actually you jumping from one server to server. Something like Star Systems. Alright, Xanatak asks, I would appreciate any info on the sand park element of EQN. Exactly how much gear will come from drops off of creatures we kill and how much is crafted. Theater Elf asks, in the videos you see holes in the world in which players fall down to another level, but I noticed they didn't die from falling. Are players going to be able to survive long falls? That's a really great question. I think that has to do a little bit with the parkour system where they can jump from canyon to canyon and they fall pretty far, but they don't seem to take any damage. Alright, the next set of questions are the continents and the plains. Dazzler asks, will there be planes we can eventually invade with no levels, and how will they have us gain entry? The next set of questions are directly about Landmark. Dariel asks, will we be able to build multi-floor standalone structures in EverQuest Next Landmark? I'll take a tackle of this one. I believe so. Most of the buildings we've seen so far have been multi-floor, and even the Ogre section that they built had some multi-floor sections in it. So yeah, I believe you'll be able to build that stuff at Landmark. They want us building castles and things, and castles usually aren't floor level. Next question is from Biju. Possible server types for Landmark, such as Minecraft's creative or survival modes, or even the chance if they're being private or password locked servers purchasable for use by groups of friends. That's pretty interesting. They also want to know the weapon types that Adventure class will have in Landmark or EQNext. Next set of questions, still having to do with the world, the day-night cycle. Azu asks, will the day-night cycle affect mobs and landscapes? Hidden doors only open at night, rare mobs only appear during the full moon, and stuff like that. Next set of questions are about classes. Concerned Citizen asks, what are the 8 starting classes? Seamus James stated, I'd love to see them officially introduce a few starter classes and maybe demonstrate how their skills and abilities can be combined. As Dar asks, are there going to be more classes with similar polar requirements like Shadow Knight and Paladin? Alright, our next set of questions are about races. Jaxpo asks, are the Ixar a playable race? I did that right. Maimdu Skin asks, will we be limited to only humans in Landmark, at least at release? And if so, will there be an option to change races later on, like when we're allowed to copy our character to EQN? I think your question kind of has to do with the fact that they've only really shown humans running around, but they did show the Karen also. So I'm pretty sure we'll have many races in Landmark, probably all of them, if not just most of them. Merzerker states, I want them to confirm which races they plan on having in EQNext at release, even if there isn't any artwork for them yet. Alright, the next set of questions are about leveling and progression. Paradox Moose asks, EQN, with the game focused on horizontal progression, doing away with character leveling, what is the focus to keep players logging in after they've had a look around and played around in a few rallying calls, traditional MMO endgame, PvE raids, and organized PvP events? This is a touchy subject, and I would love to hear the answer to this myself. Logan1 asks, they talk about spending progression points on class, so just how do we earn progression to spend on classes if progression is not earned by killing stuff? If objective based, what type of objectives can we expect? I'd like to hear an example or two of what kind of scenarios earn the progression. It's more than just a little important that they clarify this to players in an MMO that's trashing traditional levels and XP systems. Dramadon asks, how the heck is this whole tier advancement system supposed to work? Awesome question. I really want to hear this clarified a little bit better. Right now it's sort of vague and a lot of different speculations on how it works, but we don't have any hardcore answers. I would love to hear an answer to that. Asdar asks, what are points and how are they put towards use in tier leveling? Yet another person confused by the whole situation, so really would love to hear that clarified. These next questions are on death. Actually, this is a statement. Kabilis states, I want to see information on the death system. Seamus James asks, Geek, I guess it wouldn't hurt to ask about death mechanics, corpse runs, doubtful, repair bills, respawn points, etc. We have another set of questions. These are about PvP. Xanathax asks, how big a part of the game is PvP, and can we get in any info on how PvP is set up? And Mick Knightrider asks, when will they go over PvP? We actually had 2 or 3 other questions about PvP, but they were almost inflammatory, so I'm just going to skip them for now. But there's a lot of people out there really wanting to know about PvP, so hopefully they'll cover that. Destructibility. Azu asks, what would happen if you try to dig through the world? I'm going to take a stab at this one myself. For those of players out there who play Minecraft know exactly what's going on. If you're not a Minecraft player, what happens is you dig down to a certain point and you can't go any farther down. It's like you reach the nether and you can only go so far down and you stop. And they showed us on the maps during the presentations the 3 different tiers. I'm guessing you go the first 2, no problem. You hit the 3rd one, when you get to the magma layer, you can't go much farther down than that. I really doubt you could dig all the way through the planet. Alright, our next set of questions are about mobs. Wampum asks, and I'm paraphrasing this, will world spawn minions find their way into secret areas? Next set of questions are on creativity. Paradox Moose asks this about EverQuest Next Landmark. Will players be able to develop creatures, NPCs to go with their creations? Wampum asks, and I'm paraphrasing this, can you build an indestructible maze so that players cannot bash the walls down to get to the center? I think both of these questions have to do with the fact that maybe some players want to create a section of the world that's theirs that is like a dungeon or some other place that they can set up NPCs and make it really cool. It's outside of what the devs create. Okay, next questions are about lore. Rum Pirate SC asks, what are your plans for releasing the lore? We want to know more about the other races and such. I paraphrased that a little bit. I know they're going to be releasing more books, and the books are kind of our official lore that's been leaking out slowly. Crafting. Kabilis states, I want to see more information about the crafting system. Me too. I'm a crafter and I'd love to see more about that. Next question is about bags and inventory. El Arura asks, with gear being used to optimize abilities and the possibility of 2 weapon abilities per class and then up to 40 classes with different loadout, are we just going to be carrying around tons of gear with us, or will they be coming up with a new system? That's an excellent question. If you're a mage, wizard, warrior, thief, barbarian, necromancer, you're going to be carrying around different types of weapons, different gear. How's it all going to work? And you're going to have a weight limit on all that? Or are you going to be carrying around 37 different types of staves in your backpack and 22 swords and 85 daggers? Who knows? How are you going to be carrying all that stuff around? That's an interesting question because it does bring up a bunch of different possibilities. So I'd like to hear the answer to that myself. Mounts. As you ask, will there be flying mounts in the game? I actually had 2 questions exactly written the same way, so that's the same thing. Next question is about monetization. Jack Sat states, I want to hear about how they plan to monetize all of this. Like, really SEO free to plan model, or older games come with a lot of limits and the only way to really get around it in most cases is to sub to the game. And Saladin asks, will the money we make selling things in EQNext Landmark be added to our station balance, or will we be able to transfer it to a bank account or PayPal? Game mechanics and specs. Ziprit states, some info about tech issues would be nice to hear. Is it too early to ask about PC specs, but questions regarding platforms, PC, Mac, console? I'd like to know the answer to this question myself. Is it PC only? Is it PC, Mac? Is someday down the road are they planning to do a console? Great question. I'd like to find out the answer to that myself. He also states that would be nice if they could make it possible to have more than one character active. As an example, having one character doing some crafting and have one out adventuring. I think that comes from SWOTOR. You could be on the ship doing your missions and your crew would be out doing all the crafting for you, and when you came back everything was crafted. Tobrin states, UI, I want to see it so bad, Fang Face. Something like that. And the last question is about marketing. Crowned Evil wonders if EverQuest Next will get a cool live action ad like Skyrim did. Wink wink. What are the plans, devs? Okay, so those are the questions that we got for this week's mailbag. Like I said, I'm not a dev, so I wasn't going to go through and answer them all myself. I think that would be pretentious. But you can see that the community is looking for a lot of different answers in a lot of different areas, and I'm hoping that they can cover some of this stuff. I know that there's marketing reasons and reasons that they won't put this information out right away due to competition. We have a big behemoth in the room known as Blizzard who's coming out with Titan supposedly next year. And if they put out too much information too soon, it could be detrimental to Sony. So I understand some of the reasons behind it, but I do want to hear some of those answers. So I would love to hear if they can answer them either to us directly or even in PAX. I can wait till PAX. It's not too far off. All right, everybody. So even though I asked those questions and I'm waiting for the answers from the devs, you are more than welcome to answer them yourself in either Reddit, the forums, or on my YouTube channel page. Go ahead and throw out your ideas. Some of those questions, just quote the question that you're answering and then put below it what you think, because I'd love to hear all the answers. I really would. I think that there's a lot of insight out there. We have a really smart community, and I think for the most part we can get some great answers from everybody too before the devs even get a chance to answer. Okay, so this has been our show today. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'll be back next week with some more EverQuest Next videos. Until then, it's Geekdomo saying see ya. My viewpoint is strangers are just friends you haven't met yet. Like these fellas in the corner. They were my friends until a second ago.
Oh no, it's down.
Who's down?
The drill.